You're listening to the Horseshoe Guys with Josh Carney and Jake Arthur. Your quest to find the most in-depth Indianapolis Colts podcast has triumphantly reached its terminus. Be sure to join Colts Nation's deep divers at horseshoehuddle.com, part of the Sports Illustrated Digital Network.
There you go.
There we are. What is up, everybody? It is Zach Hicks and Jake Arthur here. Zach's filling in for Josh Carney tonight. It's the Horseshoe Guys. Not much going on with the Colts right now. Just a little thing called training camp. We're, of course, just going to kind of touch on the latest training camp stuff going on. Josh and I talked about last week, but we're now 10 practices in. That's more than half the way through, so we know a lot of what's real and what's fake that we're seeing at this point. What's the real deal? Just kind of go through each positional group, kind of touch on the main topics and the main happenings with all of those. But go ahead and appreciate Zach's shirt here if you guys haven't seen it yet.
For the people who've been making fun of me mistyping it on Twitter, until Diodambo. That's the running meme now. If you guys can read that, I'm trying to get it right there around my name. There you go.
That is leaning into it.
It's not for sale yet, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes, guys.
Perfect. Yeah. So let's see. We're unless you guys force us into it with questions, which, by the way, more than welcome to ask. Probably not going to talk too much specifically about Carson Wentz and Quentin Nelson. It's been talked about. We'll talk about the guys replacing them until they're back, but probably not going to
throw in all your questions, guys. And honestly, I haven't been to camp. I'm not going to be at camp this year. So I'm just ready to throw out some random takes just based off of Jake's tweets from camp this year. I'm super pumped. I'm just going to wing it throughout this whole thing here, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, and if you guys don't know much about what's going on at camp, I've had a report every day, and I link them all together so you can see everything that's going on. I can't be too specific and committal about some things, just media rules and whatnot, but I'll be as descriptive as I can. So yeah, quarterback, that's obviously been the most polarizing and talked about thing, even without Carson Wentz. We're finally getting to see Jacob Easton. All last year he was a big mystery, a big let's wait and see type thing. It's basically all Jacob Easton and Sam Ehlinger right now. Ehlinger, of course, the rookie 6th round pick.
Yep, 6th rounder.
So yeah, so far just kind of what's been going on. Easton has been taking all of the first team reps with Carson Wentz out. It's been a pretty big mixed bag.
Ooh, there's everybody.
What's up, guys? So we've got more bring the juice stuff going on. Yeah, so anyways, mixed bag for Jacob Easton. He's had some good moments, but he's not processing things super quick. I think the most odd thing is his calling card has been his arm talent, and it's almost like he doesn't know how to control his arm strength. His intermediate stuff is all like Brett Favre rocket launch, but deep balls just flutter and hang up in the air. It's very weird. His deep ball looks like a guy that doesn't have a good arm. So I think he's just got to get some consistency and regulate that. It might go back to mechanics.
And I was actually going to say next time you're at practice, see how if every time he throws it deep, if he's falling backwards as he's throwing, if he's taking, even if it's like one or two shuffles back, right, when he's throwing it, that could mean that he's leaning too far on that back foot and the ball is sailing on him as a result. A lot of actually like how high or how low passes are is dependent on where you are balance-wise with your feet.
Oh, yeah.
If you're too far, if you're too far on that front foot and you're like stepping too hard or you're too far leaned forward on that front foot, that ball's going to go down. It's going to traject down. If you're leaning too far on the back foot, which Easton, again, I didn't study his NFL or practice mechanics or anything like that. I know he's been working with Adam Dedeaux and 3D QB, but Easton in college was very, I guess I want to say like fidgety with pressure. He kind of had an issue at Washington with pressure, and he was always getting out of the pocket, fading away from the pocket, rolling to his left, sliding down before he could really get the ball off. So my running theory without watching him is a lot of what he's doing is still kind of having that pocket jitteriness, especially without playing, in a year now. He hasn't really run with, especially caliber guys like the ones, and he's got backups playing at left tackle, left guard. My theory is that he's kind of leaning too far back on that foot as he's throwing it, which is causing that ball to kind of sail on him. And we've seen, a couple picks in practice so far with him kind of throwing the ball over receivers' heads and stuff.
Yeah, there's one throw in particular I'm thinking of where I do think he was leaning back. He had dropped back, and he had Zach Pascal, who actually had, I think, Kenny and Julian Blackman beat. He was going deep down the right side, and he just hung it up. It was a duck in there, and I think he was leaning back. Now that
and there's easy ways to fix that. I mean, honestly, if that's what's deriving him throwing the ball high, then that's an easy fix. All you got to do is work on him kind of moving his feet and resetting really quick, and then getting that ball, staying from a ground position to getting the ball down the field. So I think it's an easy fix, especially for a guy with his arm talent. But, we call the NFL not for long for a reason. Who knows how long he's going to get to improve on that issue is the biggest thing. And he says right here, I mean, Herbert did struggle in the pocket as well in college. And that's 100% true. And then when he got into the league last year, there were really no struggles whatsoever. For me, though, I always struggle kind of comparing. I don't want to call Herbert an outlier because he was a 6th overall pick, but I always struggle comparing to something that's not expected to happen, like that kind of outlier. So Herbert doing it, it's great. I love it. And honestly, again, what I'm really saying mechanically here isn't really much to do with that pressure. It's more of just him leading off that back foot. But we'll have to see. I mean, you can only really see when these guys are thrown into game action, and we have the whole preseason here to see how Herbert reacts to real NFL pressure, or at least kind of NFL pressure with the preseason.
Decent, yeah. So there's that first game on Sunday against the Panthers. The pressure has been pretty much constant, and even when it's not there, it's like he thinks it's going to be. Because, I mean,
I don't blame him.
The Colts pass rushers are eating the Colts offensive line alive, every unit basically. So that is real. He is having to face constant duress.
This is yours right here. You can go talk about Sam Ehlinger now.
Ehlinger, yeah. So my one last quick thing on Easton. If there's one big thing I want to see him improve upon over these next couple weeks, it's going to be scanning the field and processing.
Yeah.
I think that would be better for him. And that's, to me, been the biggest difference between him and Sam Ehlinger. The next topic. Ehlinger does not have Easton's arm strength or anything, but when you watch the two out there, Sam Ehlinger looks like a guy who started 40 games in college, and Easton looks like a guy who just started a handful and is still getting his bearings. It doesn't mean that Easton can't eventually get, to that level, but right now it's a big gap. Ehlinger does take a lot of checkdowns and stuff too. Both of them are doing that. But Ehlinger, his timing and accuracy is a lot better. He's finding guys in intermediate spots. And honestly, he just had, yesterday was their last practice. They were off today. Ehlinger just had the best deep throw of all of camp yesterday since Carson Wentz went out. Wentz had that big throw to Pascal on day 2. Ehlinger just had a bomb to Desmond Patman yesterday. Rolled to his left side, threw across his body down deep down the left sideline, and Patman got it wide open, both feet in. So it was a great play. And it was weird because it's like Easton's supposed to be the guy with the gun, but it was Ehlinger who had that big time throw. So right now, it's there's been a lot of talk of what they might still do, and to me, it all starts with Carson Wentz's reevaluation, because the reason that 5 to 12 week thing exists, why it's such a huge difference in time, they can't really evaluate until like 2 or 3 weeks post-op, and then they have a better idea of whether it's closer to 5 weeks or 12 weeks. Frank Reich said they're hopeful that both Wentz and Nelson are closer to that 5 because they're not like speed guys. They're bigger guys who, they don't have to be super mobile, even though for Carson it's going to be a plus if he is, but it's a pain tolerance thing as well. So if Carson is going to be back sooner, do they just continue putting all their eggs in the Jacob Eason basket because they're trying to get their backup all the reps possible, or if Wentz is going to be out longer, do they pursue an outside veteran or make the change to see what they can do with Ehlinger? I don't think anything's going to be done about the quarterback until after this whole Carolina thing this week and after they've evaluated Wentz's recovery again.
Yeah, well said. And I do want to shout out Kyle here. Kyle Stewart on Facebook gave us a like. Thank you, Kyle.
Thanks, Kyle.
And then Matt here has a question. Is the issue mostly been the left side of the line, or rushers getting through the first team right side? And I think you were telling me the other day that Glowinski's had a great training camp so far.
Yeah, Glowinski has easily been one of the top 5 players at camp so far. He's been ironclad. Now, DeForest Buckner, of course, can get through Glowinski, but he can get through everybody. The pressure has been primarily the left side of the line, but it has been on both sides too. To me, for example, in one-on-ones, Tyquan Lewis has Braden Smith's number right now. It was. Yeah, he overthrew TY by quite a bit, and Kerry was sitting right there to get it. But yeah, it's both sides of the line, but definitely primarily the left side, because Sam Tebby has been the left tackle for most of camp, even though it was Holden the first 2 days, and then Holden got back to it for the first time in pads yesterday. So it's been primarily Tebby, and that's not gone great. I'm sure everyone by now has seen that video of Kamoko Toure just taking it to him, which Kamoko, yeah, you saw it because Robert Mathis also saw it.
Robert Mathis doesn't like me, man.
Does he follow you? Because that's twice he's gone after you.
That's only twice. It's the only time he's ever talked to me. He's gone at me twice. But again, I did move up in the chain. I was a fan with bad jokes the first time. Now I'm typical media. Next time I might be like stupid jerk face, amazing media or something like that. I don't know. Like, I don't know where to move up from now. Like I don't know. We'll see where it goes. I mean, he can just follow other guys and kind of keep straight way to the truth if he wants, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what he's doing there.
And it'll always be stamped with like a hashtag. Yeah, I said it every time.
Yeah, I know, right?
No matter the topic.
I don't know.
He's like,
man.
I had donuts today. Yeah, I said it.
Like, yes, you did. We saw it next to your Twitter name. Colts will ask about Sam Ehlinger's arm throws have no urgency, and they generally float in the air. Can that be fixed?
Yeah, his ball does float. That's for sure. It's very obviously lacked behind Wentz and Easton, Jalen Morton, even Brett Hundley has a little more zip to it. So he's definitely got the least urgent arm of the group.
Yeah, and I will. The best way I can answer this is I don't know. I really don't know if it can be fixed, because typically when a guy doesn't have as much velocity on throws or they're floating passes, you can look at their mechanics and say, okay, he's off balance. He's off that back foot a lot. He's throwing off platform, which you never want guys throwing off platform, or he's not getting good rotation on his hips. When I watch Ehlinger, when I watched his college tape, I see very good mechanics. I think he could probably work with Adam Nadeau and get those hips kind of rotating at a more violent way as he's coming through, and maybe generate more power from the hips going up. But outside of that, I think his mechanics are really good. I really don't think there's much more you can add mechanically or improve mechanically to add arm strength to him. I would probably say the best place is probably the weight room with legs and upper body as well. But I mean, you're already looking at a guy, I think he's 6 foot even, or 6'1", like 220 pounds. I think he's close to that. Like, how much more weight can he really add? It's kind of, I don't know. It's tough. I really don't know the path with that. I mean, we've seen a lot of guys come into the league where, their arm strength wasn't great, and that's just kind of how it is. And I think there is a way for him to survive with his arm strength the way it is, but in the NFL game, it severely limits your offense. And that's why we rarely see guys work out like this. I mean, the only guys we've really seen work out with this kind of arm strength, Chad Pennington's always the go-to example. Drew Brees, for most of his career, never had great arm strength, but he's one of the best when it comes to accuracy and anticipation. And then Phillip Rivers last year. But again, Phillip Rivers last year was one of the smartest quarterbacks who I've ever seen play. Just insane with his pre and post snap diagnosis and anticipation. So he really needs to become elite in the mental aspects of playing quarterback if he's going to survive with the arm, which he can. It's just will he get to that is the big thing. So I don't know. I'm very curious to see the way his career goes, because I think he does so many things correct, like so many things. I mean, if you just want to check off so many boxes for, quarterback aspects that he does at a high level or does at a really good level, I think he has most of them checked off. It's just that arm strength. He has some bouts of inaccuracy, but for the most part, it's just that arm strength. And I just don't know how much better that can get.
Yeah, it's a shame that's the case, because if he had arm strength, I don't know that there's much of an argument as to who would be the guy right now or who would be him going for, because mentally he's looked great too. I've mentioned it a couple times. He did this thing I fell in love with. Yeah, there you go. He did this thing I fell in love with the other day, and then I asked Frank Reich after practice yesterday for clarification. So they were doing goal line stuff, and the goal line, of course, was all stacked up. It was originally a run formation, it looks like. And Sam checked out of something, and then they had a 4 receiver bunch that formed over on the right side, which, of course, thinned out the goal line. And then once the ball was snapped, Sam did a quarterback draw and ran right into the end zone for a touchdown. And then so I asked Frank yesterday if like how much of that was Sam and how much was coaching. And he said that they gave Sam options to check into at the line, and he made the right call to check into that. So, that was a really heads up play. That was a really smart thing to do. He knows that he's able to bowl through the line, so he thinned out the line and took it in himself.
Yeah.
So they have raved about how smart he is. But we could talk about the quarterbacks all day.
Yeah, honestly, I think this is becoming more of a Q&A. We're getting a lot of good questions here, which, honestly, I'm all for. I love this is what we used to always do with the other show.
Yeah, no kidding.
We do have another like here from Facebook, Vince Miller. Appreciate that, Vince, for the like there. But we got another question here. More worried about the O-line or hyped about the D-line? And this is kind of something I said the other day, which got some mixed stuff. And I think the biggest thing for me is, I want to get so excited about Ben Banogu, Kwity Paye, Kamoko Toure. For me, though, these are all the guys that line up over that left tackle. And we know the situation with left tackle. It's been Sam Tevi. And who else has been you said Holden's been out, right?
No, so Holden was second team.
Yeah.
So Holden, when camp started, it was Holden, and then Tevi took over for a while.
Gotcha.
And then Holden was back yesterday.
Gotcha.
So it's been those two.
Holden, Davenport,
Julian Davenport got some run with the twos yesterday, but
I don't know. Like, I want to get don't get me wrong, dude. I want to get so excited about Ben Banogu and Kamoko Toure. I've been trying to for the last 3-4 years with those guys. Yeah. So I'm, most time I look at most, I would be super pumped about that. But just me, I guess, in my pessimistic viewpoint, I want to kind of keep grounded with it and say, like, let's see what happens in the preseason with that. But Buckner's been great against whoever he faces. We can be hyped about Buckner. Like you said, Tyquan Lewis versus Braden Smith's been very positive. So I think we can be hyped about it to a degree with the D-line. I just, I won't proclaim all these guys who are going against Sam Tevi, as top tier guys, or like, oh gosh, all our young guys are breaking out. It's like, I just kind of want to see, them against other left tackles, because Sam Tevi is obviously not the best in pass protection.
Yeah, I'm going to choose to be excited about the defense because what they've been looking for looks like it could be coming to fruition.
Please.
But you have to temper it because, like you said, it's who they're going against. But I can't help but gush anytime I'm asked about this. They've got 4 guys right now who, if they are for real, holy hell! Like Tyquan Lewis looks like a quality starting left end with your first round pick Kwity Paye at right end, and then Ben Banogu and Kamoko Toure are all performing at a high level too. And while we don't want Al-Qadim Muhammad really getting a ton of snaps over those guys, he's started games too. If Al-Qadim Muhammad is your last defensive end, you're in good shape.
Yeah.
So I really want to be excited about the defensive line because it's a nice group. If they really are developing like this, that's a really nice group.
Yeah, and we got a couple questions about wide receivers, especially about
I say let's just do questions.
Yeah, we got a couple about wide receivers, but Colts Law did mention Coach said Pay only does one move all day because he's told to, no matter the win-loss rate. And I will say that this is pretty common. I don't know if it's this common where it's like the only move he does is that. But I think it's actually Robert Mathis. So I'm going to say something nice about Robert Mathis here. So let's all be a little calm here. But I believe it was Robert Mathis that teaches his guys and tells his guys that, if you can make one move elite or whatever, you're an all-pro type player. If you can make two moves elite, you're a Hall of Fame type player. It's something around that line. And what that really means is hone in on your couple moves, your 1, 2, 3 moves that you want, and build your counters off of those. But you don't need anything more than that. You don't have to be the guy who, I can long arm, I can spin, I can bull rush, I can speed to power, I can club swat, all that kind of stuff. You don't need to have every single move. You don't need to have every move that Von Miller does, JJ Watt, all those. Find your move that you want to base everything off of. And with Robert Mathis's guys and with big with Kamoko Toure, he told me about this before. That kind of build off that long arm, and then you can build things to like counters and spins and inside moves with that long arm. And that's the thing with Quiddy. I think they said Quiddy's building off the long arm as well. So the long arm or
I've seen him do well. He definitely has been doing some bull, but he's been doing that Bosa like 2-hand swat thing too.
Okay, cool. But so whatever that move is, though, build up that one move. And I know it's a big thing actually that Mathis teaches. You have that long arm going, and then you can just swap the arms as they kind of come up to try to combat that long arm. You swap the arms and get around is what Toure was big at. We saw that one play against the Chargers in 2019 where he did something very similar to that. So whatever that one move is for Quiddy Pay, I'd rather him be elite at one move and then figure out the others than be at 40% efficiency with every move, So I think it's perfectly normal, and I hope that it ends up becoming, his go-to move. And it's one of those guys that all those D-line guys on Twitter and stuff are tweeting out and putting up videos of like one of the most unblockable, like we see with DeForest Buckner, his club swim is one of the most unblockable moves in all of football. I hope we see that with whatever Quiddy Pay's working on.
Yeah, and he's been lining up wider outside from the line of scrimmage. He's been lining up wider, so he's got more time to build up his attack to the tackle. So that's gonna work in his favor too. Yeah.
We got people asking about my hair. My hair is actually going good. I'm growing it out a little bit. This is me growing it out. This is
what would be worse if you had to shave it or if you had to grow a rat tail?
Worse would be a rat tail. I'm down.
Let's get a movement for Zach to get a rat tail instead of shave it.
Dude, I made the bet because I want to shave my hair. You know how convenient it is when you have less hair.
Probably pull off a shaved head. Yeah,
dude. Yeah, you can just get up in the morning, no shower, and then you can just head on out. You don't have to worry about all this stuff coming off. It's so nice.
Perfect.
We got a couple Michael Strawn questions here. Has Strawn been as impressive as the reactions on Twitter? Is he the biggest surprise? Saw he was taking special teams reps the other day. So what are your thoughts been seeing him in person? Because I've seen the hype, I've seen the highlight videos, but you've seen him up close in person. What's your takeaway been? I know you've been really impressed, right?
Yeah, so he doesn't look like just a small school rookie. He would have every reason to look overwhelmed. Charleston, I think, is D2, and he's not going up against Anthony Chesley and Andre Chaudhry and everything. He's going up against Xavier Rhodes, Kenny Moore. He's going up against the big boys, and he's winning. That obviously the video that went viral, he had that one-handed, back shoulder, had to adjust himself in the air. That was awesome. But no, it doesn't look too big for him. I put out in my piece today that I'm almost comfortable calling him a shoe-in for the roster.
That's good.
Because they're not going to be able to get him on the practice squad at this point, I wouldn't think. Other teams aren't going to have his practice film, but if he does anything in the preseason, he's going to be a commodity. he has had some like concentration drops. Like there's been a couple plays during 11-on-11s where if he would have made him, it would have added to like the lore that has become Mike Strawn.
Love the lore of him.
Yeah, but he hasn't been able to come down with him. But no, I think you see his comfort level and confidence getting better all the time. It's really annoying to me when big, strong receivers are so passive at the catch point. Like they just let the cornerback win. He's not like that. And I asked Xavier Rhodes about this the other day. I was hoping I wouldn't offend him with the question, but it was like the day after Strawn had that big play on the video against him. I said, you're probably the best person to ask about this, but what are your impressions of Michael Pittman and Mike Strawn as big receivers? And Xavier Rhodes had really good things to say about Strawn. Talked about his confidence getting better, how he attacks the ball, his size and speed is all for real. And he said if he can mix all that together and become consistent and everything, that he could be one of the league's better receivers. Wow. And that's really high praise because Xavier Rhodes has faced everybody. So I'm buying it. I mean, we got to see it against the Panthers in practice too, because he's been beating all the Colts defensive backs. Although those drills are set up for the offense to win, but in an 11-on-11s, it's any man's game. But no, he's not Randy Moss or anything right now, of course. But like, I would be comfortable putting him on the roster. Like
Keenan. So Keenan's the one who commented that. I don't know if he's still watching. I don't know if he just jumped in and commented it, but please tell me where that's from, because I keep seeing people make the reference, the joke that Strawn is a lot like Randy Moss and all these other Swan schools.
Brian Edwards with the Raiders. I think John Gruden said he looked like T.O.
But this has been before that. This came from before that.
Okay.
Yeah, people have been saying that Randy Moss.
Yeah.
I don't know where it came from. I mean, it's, it was probably some other Colts podcast. So if it is some other one, I won't put it up on the screen or anything. But his agent said he was. That's what it was. His agent said he was D2 Randy Moss. So yeah, I'll throw his agent up there. I won't throw.
He was, dude, for D2 Randy Moss. Yeah, he was.
Okay, so it was from Holder's post job. Okay, that makes sense. So I clearly don't consume enough Colts media. As I read all of Jake's stuff. That's about it. Jake gets everything that I need.
Sweet.
Strawn would mean no Doolin. I like this question because a big thing I kind of said in the preseason, I actually compared Doolin before the offseason started. I compared Doolin to kind of like a cockroach, because every time someone thinks, he should get cut, he shouldn't make the team, he just kind of sticks around, and a big part of that is special teams.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was you or if it was someone else that said it the other day, but Strawn was taking some special teams snaps. To me, for him to really be a 100% lock, he has to show that he can do that. Not that he has to do it better than Doolin, but he has to show that he can, be something on special teams. So was the other day to the first day he took special team snaps, or has he kind of been mixing in a little bit?
I honestly don't pay attention to special teams unless it's field goals. I pay attention to who's the returner and everything, but yeah, I'm since there's only one of me this year, I'm trying to prioritize things. But
one day I'll move out to Indy and we can do this.
Doolin's been an excellent gunner, but he's been out for a week. And I mentioned in my piece today, if I had to pick a 5th and 6th receiver, if the league or if the year started this week, for me it would be Strawn into Michael Harris probably.
Yeah. Well, something interesting that can play into that, right, is we keep factoring gunner with this, right? Which we should. I mean, you're going to have to play special teams for the 5th and 6th.
Gunner one is thing a big deal. Yeah. It's not about being the return man. They already have return guys.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. The biggest thing that's interesting to me, though, is with the return of Marvell Tell, could he take that other gunner spot across from Odom? Because he did that a little bit his rookie year. He played some gunner. So if those guys can both lock down the gunners, that could free up another receiver spot to where, like Strawn would have to play some special teams, but he doesn't have to be the gunner. We don't have to rely on him to be the gunner. Or maybe rookie Sean Davis, too, at safety could be a gunner. It's just how they want to play with that. But, if Strawn's getting some reps at gunner and he's doing it well, that only helps him. And the big thing with Doolin, like you've been saying, he hasn't been practicing, and the best ability is availability when you're in those bottom couple spots. So Strawn's been playing, and he's been playing really well. And yeah, if he can show that he can do it on special teams, I mean, like you said, he's probably a near lock right now with how he's been playing. Hopefully that can carry on throughout the preseason games here. And we've had this question a couple times. I think it's been from Mike, but Colts go after Michael Thomas, and I think he said it up here as well. Let me see. There we go. Asked it. So he said it from Facebook and he said it from Twitter. He really wanted us to answer the question. I just don't see it.
No, he's going to cost too much. He'd cost a first-round pick. He's hurt a lot now, or at least this is like the same injury. At least
we don't got the money anymore, man. We're broke now.
Yeah, the Colts are allocating their money towards their own guys. We've seen it now. There's 2 extensions down. Naheem is probably next. Quentin will be within the next year.
Yep.
Michael Thomas ain't having, and I don't want to call him a diva, but he does seem to complain a lot.
To be fair, most receivers are divas.
Yeah, but like Michael Thomas complains a lot, and he gets offended a lot. I don't know.
As a defensive back growing up, all receivers are divas.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't see it either. I just don't think it. I mean,
and they really like their receiver group too.
Yeah,
they've got some guys they want to develop, and I don't think they want to take on someone else's product.
Yeah, the Buckner trade was a rarity for.
They needed a 3-tech to complete their defense, and they were able to get one of the best.
Yeah, so I just don't think that's going to be like the norm ever. Philip here asked about Isaiah Rodgers in camp. Thought he played very well in a few snaps against the Bills. I completely agree. Jake and I were actually talking about this right before we jumped on about the cornerback rotation at cornerback 2. Because I know we've had a couple questions about cornerback 2, so we can kind of throw all those together. But what have been your takeaways of Isaiah Rodgers, Marvell Tell, TJ Carey, Rock Ya-Sin in that cornerback 2 battle?
Yeah, so all those guys have been, mixing in a little bit. There was that open competition for cornerback 3, even though it does look like it's still Rock's spot to lose. Rodgers has looked fine. I don't think I've seen him really get beat badly anytime. You see the ball skills. Even if he's not like picking something off, he'll get his hands on it. So I'm fine with how Rodgers has done. I would like to see him get some more play with the ones outside just to see what it looks like. But yeah, I don't know. They seem to like TJ Carey a good bit. They just trust him. So
I get it. It's just, I don't know. To me personally, you're going young at so many positions, right? You're going young at receiver. You're going to throw Campbell and Pittman and maybe Strawn out there at receiver. You're going young at defensive end with Toure, Banagoo, Pay, Odeyembo when he comes back. Like, it just feels weird throwing the 30-something-year-old corner out there with all that. Like, I guess, again, you want some reliability back there, which I completely get. But if you're already going young with every other position, like, get Rock out there, get Tell out there, get Isaiah Rodgers out there. And obviously you can rotate Carey in. Carey's a very sturdy vet. But I would just like to see the young guys play. I mean, this year has always kind of been an evaluation year for me anyway, like with how I've seen this team. So, yeah, I hope that they just go young, but we'll see. TJ Carey's a fine player. I mean, he made me eat my words last year, so I'm not going to say anything bad about him. I'm pretty sure his cousin got mad at me on my YouTube page. I just get family members mad at me all the time, man. And I guess Robert Mathis too.
he's got some versatility. They've been doing some different things with him. So again, that's another thing I can't be too descriptive about. But they trust him is all I can say, and they're willing to put him in a number of spots. So
yeah,
it's gonna look to me. It's probably gonna look a lot like last year, except you just find somewhere to put Marvell Tell in the mix. I think it's still going to be Rhodes and Ya-Sin outside with Kenny inside. Kenny will still be the outside guy in base defense next to Rhodes. So I don't see it being different enough to really have a lot to say yet.
Yeah. Colts Law's got a couple things about Pascal here. Most consistent receiver in camp, your thoughts? And then you also mentioned Pascal on special teams, which Pascal's been great. Even when he's been the number one receiver on this team the last couple of years, he's still played every special teams. He honestly, and I know there's some fans that don't necessarily like Pascal as much just because he's not flashy and he's very middle of the road type. But man, every coach in the NFL would want someone like Zach Pascal.
Oh, yeah.
Every single coach.
You need someone like that.
Not just offensive coordinators, not just special teams coaches, head coaches. They all want players like that. Guys who have been undrafted, who've been to different teams, know how to play special teams, are good blockers, good hand. I mean, mostly good hands. He has some concentration drops, but he can play slot, play outside. Yeah, I mean, from everything we've seen, he's been Easton's favorite target too, right?
Yeah, he's been Easton's most secure target. He likes Pittman a lot too. I would say he's probably, as far as receivers go, he's probably connected with Pittman and Pascal the most. I would say Pascal has probably been the most consistent. That's probably safe to say. Pittman has definitely had some big days as well. I am interested to see if it changes much in a game situation, but I can only think of maybe like one connection that Easton has had with Hilton. There doesn't seem to be a lot of chemistry there. It's been all Pascal and Pittman as far as Easton goes, but it's been a lot of tight ends and running backs with them too. I without checking my notes, I've got to say his most completions have probably went to Nyheim.
That's good. Everything to Nyheim, please.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
all I want.
Exactly.
Matt asked another question here. This is actually something I've been meaning to ask you about. So thank you, Matt, for bringing this up. Not really the first part, even though I'm going to say this, but any chance Wilkins gets cut for Dion, or gets moved and cut and Dion replaces. But I wanted to ask you, outside of those top three running backs that we all know, three very good running backs, have any of the other running backs kind of stood out or done anything besides those guys?
Not really.
No?
So they're using all four of those top guys, and four running backs, that's dominating the reps basically. You don't see a ton of Anderson, LeMay, and Jackson, but honestly, that's the pecking order I've got as far as 5, 6, 7 is Jet, Anderson, Benny, LeMay, and Deion Jackson. In that
order there?
Yeah, no one's really doing anything of note, but anytime I've watched like Scotty Montgomery with the running backs or anything, he does seem to like Jet Anderson and Benny LeMay. I just haven't I can't think of any like notable plays really from any of those guys.
I think someone said the other day that Jet had a good blitz pick.
Yeah, Jet's done a couple nice things. That's why I have him above the rest of those guys, which you and I talked about. Like we kind of liked Jet as a sleeper. Yeah. None of them I would put as a threat to Wilkins right now, though.
Okay.
Wilkins has got quite a bit of run, especially.
Kind of makes me think that they might be trying to stash Deion Jackson.
Potentially. I could see him being on the practice squad or something.
Yeah,
he's bigger than I thought he would be.
Yeah, he's 220. He's huge.
Yeah, he's because he gets, he's got the return ability and everything. You think he's going to be like Nyheim size, but he's kind of a squat dude.
Yeah, so I'm thinking. Sorry, I just saw one of the questions I was laughing at. I think that Jackson, I know I'm gonna laugh again when I put it up there, but Jackson makes a lot of sense as a practice. Like honestly, even have him as the seventh guy right now, going into the joint practice against Carolina and barely play him. I mean, that way you can just better chance of getting into the practice squad. That's just me maybe thinking optimistically about it because I did like Jackson and his fit with the team, but I'm a big Jordan Wilkins guy. If Jordan Wilkins doesn't get replaced, I'm very happy about that as well. I know that's always been.
I'm just mixing another cocktail over here. Don't.
Yeah, that's what you're doing. No, but Jordan Wilkins, I mean, he's kind of cockroach-like too. We always talk every single offseason about the surprise cut for the Colts, and it's Jordan Wilkins, and then who doesn't get cut and who's never at a risk of getting cut? It's Jordan Wilkins every single year, and he gets run.
There's always a point in the season where they have to rely on him, and he always does well. Like in his first 2 years in the league, no one had a better yards per carry average than him. Like if you go to Pro Football Focus and level it down by all the running backs in the league who had at least his amount of carries, he had the top yards per carry. And remember, Ballard said he reminded him of Matt Forte when they drafted him. Obviously has not had that career and is not going to, but they clearly like him a lot. So
yeah, for sure. We got question here about any All-Pros in this past draft class. I hope.
That'd be nice.
I will say, I when I graded Kwity Paye in this last draft class, I did grade him out as a Pro Bowl potential guy. So, I mean, All-Pros just one step up from that. And honestly, All-Pros more so depend on how weak your conference is at the position. As of right now, we have Myles Garrett and Joey Bosa in this conference, so it's a little tougher. But, I do really, really like Kwity Paye, and I think he can be a Pro Bowl caliber guy, maybe All-Pro one day. I don't know. But I know he's going to take a bit to get there, but I'm super, super high on Kwity Paye.
That would be my answer too. I mean, it's their first round pick, so yeah, but he seems to have the best chance. I would like to see how Kylen Granson continues developing. Because I mean, it took Travis Kelce a couple years to really start, accelerating as well. If his blocking can make him a 3-down player, then I say Granson has an outside chance as well. But Paye and Odengbo definitely are my top two, I would say.
Yeah.
Odengbo, obviously, I mean, I say that without him even being on the field yet, but I just know they have high hopes for him. And I mean, if he reaches his potential, then yeah, he should be a pretty dangerous player.
Look at this. We got another like on Facebook, and it's Josh Carney. Like, it avoids you. He doesn't want to come on the podcast with you, but he's going to watch from Facebook and like it. Like, that's what it is.
Buddy.
He just didn't want to see you tonight. That's what it
was.
We got greetings from Panama, Central America. I appreciate you saying Central America. I get lost sometimes.
I would have said Florida because I'm a stupid American. I would have thought Florida.
Do you think Will Fries will get a shot at left tackle? Man, you're speaking to the choir here, man.
That guy, yeah.
I love Will Fries. I think he's awesome. I had a 4th-round grade on him. I thought he would have been a perfect backup at right tackle behind Braden Smith for the long term. I believe they have him playing at right guard right now, but he seems to be the primary backup at right guard, which I'm excited about. I just want to see him make the team to start off, and then we'll go from there. But I do think I even talked about this with him. He's kind of got a little bit of that Joe Haig aspect with him, where he can play every single position. He's had experience at every single position. So could he get a shot at left tackle one day in the future? Maybe. I just don't think that's happening right now. Have you seen anything that would indicate him playing at tackle in camp?
No, he's only played inside.
Okay.
The only guys that I think the guys we've seen at left tackle, obviously Tevy and Holden, Davenport when he came back got a little bit, and I think Jake Benzinger has been the next.
What about O'Donnell? Where's he been playing?
Right tackle.
Right tackle. Okay.
Yeah.
We got another Facebook like here from Kenneth Thompson. Appreciate you, Kenneth. I like to shout them out. You guys are awesome liking us there. So
yeah,
give you guys some shouts. We're going to get to the one that made us both laugh when we saw it. So how do you say his name again? Chachiri,
I think.
Chachire. Okay. Chachire. Yeah. Oh, I mean, if he makes the team, we're going to have to definitely remember how to say it.
And if you read my piece today, then I think he might have a good chance.
Yeah. I saw Chachire had been starting in place of Blackman. Did Odom sleep with someone's wife? Honestly, he might have. I don't know.
That's only Golden Tate.
That's only Golden Tate. Or what's the one in the NBA? Isn't it Delonte West with LeBron's
mom?
I don't even know if that's just a joke or if that actually happened. Somebody will probably say it in there as well. But
yeah.
Oh man. But Chachire, what were your takeaways from him? We can't say that he was starting, but just playing a little bit more in practice.
Yeah, well, so Matt Eberflus did acknowledge that it was him out there, which it was a head scratcher for a lot of us because, you would think he was like the last or second to last cornerback on the roster, and then Blackman goes out, and then the next day it's this guy we haven't really been paying attention to is next to Kari Willis with the first team at safety. No, I haven't really seen anything notable from many safeties in general. It's of course been, Blackman and Willis when they're out there just doing really good like diagnosis and just being there on short outside plays, basically how you would expect them to be. Yeah, I think they just like his versatility. Matt Eberflus basically talked about that was they trust him to be in a lot of different spots. He's versatile. A lot of people aren't going to really remember Roland Milligan because he opted out for COVID last year. But he was a surprise, roster. He made the roster a couple years ago, and it was like the same thing. He was listed as a safety, but he made the roster and then wound up starting at least one game at nickel for them. And they just let him go. So I think Chaudhry is basically their new Roland Milligan. They probably don't want him to start at any point. They have their safeties they like, and Sean Davis is back. He's got one practice under his belt now, so I think they definitely want to get him involved. But I could see Chaudhry making it. If they carry 5 safeties, he might be the 5th one. But he can do a lot of different things for them. So that's
about the veteran Sean Davis? It's actually spelled Sean, Matt.
Yeah,
but
veteran is Sean.
Yep. Has he been playing at all? Has he been practicing?
He's been there every day as far as I know. But whatever. He killed Courtney Davis one day is all I that's the only thing you can really note about it.
There you go.
Courtney Davis caught a ball over the middle, and Sean Davis just like rearranged his body, basically.
Fun story about Courtney Davis. I was talking about how I wasn't a huge fan of him at the Senior Bowl a couple years ago, and his trainer sent me I'm not talking paragraph. I'm talking like 5-paragraph essay, like sources cited at the bottom about how wrong I was about Courtney Davis.
About your opinion.
About I'm legit. It was a video of Courtney Davis getting locked up on a route, and I was saying something like, he's not strong enough at the catch point or something. Like, that's all it was. And just, I was like, all right. I was thinking of ways to respond, and I was like, nah, nope.
Yeah, not going to touch that.
Twitter's fun. Twitter's a blast. I'm so glad I don't care as much anymore.
Yeah.
I make t-shirts now.
Yeah, there you go. If you get caught up on a flub, you just make a shirt out of it.
Yeah. Kyle asked, do you think that the stretch of undrafted rookies making the 53 ends this year? I feel like it has to at this point.
Yeah, I'm trying to. So it's Deion Jackson, Tyler Vaughns,
Tariq Black, and then the linebacker.
Yeah, Kafusi. Yeah, none of the. I'd be pretty surprised if any of those guys made it. I have liked what I've seen from Vaughns, but it's a numbers game for him.
He's not playing better than Michael Harris or Strawn.
You wouldn't put him above those guys. Kafusi is whatever. They're not going to keep as many linebackers, I'm sure. Jackson, again, probably more likely to be practice squad. Tariq Black, honestly, has looked better than I thought he would. You and I, before camp and all that started, we said, he's the biggest name of their undrafted guys.
Yeah,
but I
he's
said,
a 5-star.
Biggest name of their undrafted guys, but I thought he had the worst chance at making the roster. He's actually made some nice plays. I haven't seen many flubs from him. I've been impressed. I still don't think he makes the roster, but he's done better than I thought.
Yeah.
But Colts, I don't think any of those guys will make it.
Colts will ask a question. I've been trying to read this over a couple times. Maybe you'll understand what he's saying here. I've noticed Campbell running open a lot, but his routes seem to take longer than the 3-tech allotment.
Maybe 3 second. Yeah, Campbell does get open a lot. And I think I saw him say something about Campbell earlier. But yeah, so Campbell's looked good. He's just not getting like a ton of targets his way. Easton in general is not getting the receivers very involved.
Time to throw. Okay. 3 seconds, time to throw.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, because
cool.
Easton will take all 3 of those seconds. Trust me. He holds onto the ball for a while. It frightens me to no end if he's going to be up against Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey in week 1.
Me too.
Yeah.
Very frightened.
But no, I think Paris has done very well. He's made several plays. Anything he's not doing in camp is not on him. It's just Easton is not getting with the receivers very often. It's a lot of running backs and tight ends. His route running, we've seen it in camp all 3 years. This is his 3rd summer, all 3 summers now. He's had some devastating routes against some guys, and he's doing it again this summer. Some guys, he's just like breaking their ankles. Again, if he stays healthy, Campbell's going to be a stud. Nothing to worry about there.
Yeah, I love Campbell. Any player you're particularly excited to watch this Sunday? Vanagu, Toure, Yasin. I don't imagine Yasin plays too much because he's kind of been running with the starters. Vanagu, I'm super excited to watch though. It would definitely be a lie if I would say I'm not excited to see Vanagu. I've been excited to see Vanagu for years, so I'm excited to see him for sure play on Sunday. Especially with the camp he's been having. I just want to see it. There's a couple other guys I'm excited to see too, but Vanagu's a big one that I want to see how he plays.
Yeah, I mean the quarterbacks are a given.
Ellinger
and we'll see him in practice too. Sure. Yeah, lead Vanagu. I don't think I need to see any of Toure because he was the real deal before he got hurt, and he looks like he's back to it. Pay's stuff looks natural.
I doubt he plays too much though.
Yeah,
he's a rookie, so they might play him like a quarter at best. But yeah, he doesn't need to play.
Yeah, I want to see Strawn and Vanagu.
Yeah,
I would say.
Yeah, that's for sure the best combo.
Yeah.
Matt asks, off training camp topic, how'd you like the Colts Hall of Fame speeches? And when will Manning be taking Goodell's job? I know we had Andrew there covering the event actually, which is really cool.
Yeah. He did an awesome job on those pieces.
Great job. It's our intern, Andrew.
Almost made me want to cry when I was posting his Peyton piece this morning.
Yeah. I have it queued up. I haven't read it yet.
No, it's good.
It's definitely different for me. I don't know because I grew up a big Peyton Manning fan, but I didn't grow up a Colts fan. But Peyton Manning, little kid, and you find out someone has the same birthday as you, he becomes your favorite player.
Does he?
Yeah. Nice. 324, but I think he's 1976. I'm a little bit younger,
a little older,
just a tad. But I always Peyton Manning fan, so I'm a huge. I loved everything about his Hall of Fame speech. And if he took Goodell's job, it would definitely be better for the NFL.
No, I mean he'd be a perfect candidate for that. I'll be honest, I had both of them up on YouTube today. I got about halfway through Edges, but I haven't watched either of them in full yet. But I definitely want to watch Edges particularly because I heard it was so good.
Yeah,
even the first half that I watched was pretty good. So I'll probably get back on them tomorrow. But bad Colts part of me, I have not seen them yet in full.
We got another Sam Ellinger question from Locked On Colts. Should he get a real look in the preseason with the ones?
At some point, yes.
I mean,
we have to see it.
Yeah, you and I go back and forth on this a little bit, but do I think in the preseason should he get a look with the ones? Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? Do I think in the regular season? Probably not. I'm just not. I'm not. I love Ellinger. Again, like we said at the very top of the show, I absolutely love so much of what he does at quarterback. Like I really do. But if I could just draw a line to where the field really is for a guy like with his arm in the NFL, it's very, very limited what it does to your offense. And I'm just terrified. I mean, especially those first couple of weeks, like, don't get me wrong, I'm terrified to see Jacob Easton against the Seahawks fire blitzes and Aaron Donald and the Ravens blitzing 48% of the time or whatever it is. But Ellinger the defense can just crowd so much in. And I don't know, it scares me a bit. But I think in the preseason, sure, give him some, especially if Easton's struggling, like you guys are saying in practices. If he's struggling, why not give Ellinger some? And maybe he does prove me and so many other people wrong, and shows that he can lead a successful offense with his limitations. And obviously it would shock me with how good he is at so many other areas. So I think in the preseason you got to at least give him, at least if it's for a drive or two in game 4 or game 3 or whatever, whatever it's going to be, give him at least a little bit of shot with the ones, especially if Easton's struggling.
Yeah, I think at some point I'd love to see it just because it's so frustrating because arm strength is very important.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just the only thing that Easton has had the advantage on him this summer. Because it's like you're watching two very different it looks like you're watching the starter and the backup. Now, Carson, let me just put it this way. Carson Wentz has easily been the best quarterback in camp, even just the 2 days he was there. But that's the difference you're seeing. One of them looks scattered. One of them looks composed. And again, I've said it multiple times now. It just looks like one of them has started 40 games in his college career and the other one hasn't. He's started a handful. One of them just looks more prepared for the moment. And after they drafted Ehlinger, when they said whatever it is, he has it. I'm gonna characterize it as just the natural feel for how to play and understand football situations, and he just has, that is it to me. If we're saying what is it for Ehlinger, that's it for me. He just has the natural feel for how to play quarterback, and Easton just looks like he's still working through it.
Yeah, Ehlinger has that knack that's like it's interesting because young quarterbacks, pressure gets to them so much. It's even if the pressure is not there, it gets to them. And Easton had a lot of this issues at Washington, or even when the pressure is not there, it's there. Everything looks frantic and hectic. With Ehlinger, it never looks that way. I mean, I watched a lot of his film. I watched most of his games on all 22 before I wrote my article on him. And I think he came back down 2 scores against Oklahoma with under 5 minutes left. I believe he threw a game-leading touchdown against Baylor. And there was another one, too, that he threw like a go-ahead touchdown towards the end of the game. And, of course, the Oklahoma game, he scored a bunch in overtime as well. I believe they won that game. He just has – I think when you talk about that it factor, too, it's that clutch gene. That gene that you can't really quantify and drives a lot of the analytics guys crazy because it's – so many of them think like, oh, momentum and clutch are not measurable, but anyone who's played the sports know that there is something there. Yeah. And I think he has that. He doesn't melt under pressure. He's never frantic, and he does a great job with the ball. It's just, again, you and I just value that arm strength differently. And honestly, I think you and I are almost exactly the same how we view him. It's just that one thing, one thing. And
that's why it's so frustrating.
It is. It is. He would have gone much higher, though, without it.
That has to be something that can be improved, though, you would think. Like, there's got to be a way to do it.
I don't know. Can we literally, cut Easton's arm off and just sew it on?
Yeah. Me and one of the other guys say all the time, if you had Easton's arm talent with Ehlinger's everything else, then you have your star. You have Carson Wentz, basically.
Then you have your best version of Carson Wentz, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got to get a little late on some of these questions here. We got any updates on Eric Fisher at all? I think they said something about him last week, right?
Yeah. Coach was asked about that yesterday or the day before. There's really no update to his timeline, but they've said he's working so we all know that Quentin is probably not going to. If it was up to Quentin, he's not going to miss week 1, right? Mm-hmm. They're saying Eric Fisher he's got it in his eye that he's doing every single possible thing to be ready and available. And they said he looks good. Frank said he saw him working out on the side the other day and shouted over to the trainers to put some pads on him, just as a joke. But I can't say anything on their behalf, but to me, it doesn't sound like he would start the season on PUP. It seems like he would miss too much time at the beginning here. So I don't expect it, but I'm not an authority on it because I'm not in their medical team. I don't know. But I don't want to say he sounds close, but I also don't feel like he's going to miss the first 6 weeks of the season.
I think he'll be further along than Dio, though, right?
Is what they haven't really said anything about Dio.
We can kind of insinuate that, though, that he looks further ahead than Dio.
I guess Dio's out there every day too.
Oh, is he? Okay, I didn't know he was out there.
He's on the field. He's not doing stuff, obviously, but he's with the guys. Yeah, I can't say one way or the other, but I just don't get the feeling that Fisher's going to be out a whole lot longer.
Good.
I don't know.
Good. We need that.
Just from what they're saying, that's not the impression I get,
It feels kind of from the impressions we're getting, it sounds like we're going to go super shorthanded against the Seahawks. And then the Rams, we might have everybody. Or at least maybe Seahawks and Rams were super shorthanded. And then for the Titans in week 3, we should have Nelson, Wentz, and Fisher back, or something like that. I mean, that's maybe best case scenario, maybe me being optimistic, but it feels like they're not going to be out too long. Outside, I feel like Dio might be out a little bit longer, but besides that, it feels like all these guys are going to be back pretty early in the season.
I'd rather, of course, I'd rather all these guys be getting their stuff out of the way early rather than getting hurt late. So
yeah,
it's whatever. They might get in a hole early, but
yeah, for sure.
Let's do a few more, because
let's run.
You and I could go we could go like Joe Rogan podcast length. If we
honestly, we could just do these. It doesn't even have to be me and Jake. We just do fan questions every week. I love it. Linebacker bat. We'll just kind of go speed through these. Speed or Franklin, either of them separating. They've been kind of playing different positions though, right? Because one's filling in for Leonard.
So yeah, we don't get a good gauge on the direct Sam battle, but so Leonard hasn't been out there at all. So Speed has been the first team Will this entire time. Franklin has been the Sam the entire time. So Franklin has been in the role they're battling for the whole time. But
yeah, and he was last year too in that role.
Yeah, but Speed's gotten more reps because the Will plays more often.
Yeah,
I think they've both looked pretty good. Speed looks like how you would hope. He's athletic, he's rangy, he's getting to all the different spots. He's around the ball. Franklin just looks like, Zaire Franklin, solid player, not spectacular, but not a liability necessarily. Sam, you're not going to get that many snaps anyways. He did make a really nice pass breakup downfield yesterday against the tight end, probably 15 or so yards downfield. So he's capable. I just don't know yet. Darius Leonard should be back soon. So
yeah,
if gun to my head, I would probably just give it to EJ Speed because he's got higher upside. But you're not going to get hurt by playing Zaire Franklin 5-10 snaps a game, whatever Sam usually amounts to.
I thought Franklin had a really good game against the Browns last year when he filled in at Sam, but
you're going to see a lot of the Sam against Tennessee is all we know.
Yep. Colts law. If Easton's doing really well and then Wentz gets back healthy, do you bench Easton? Yeah, you do. Unless we're 8 weeks in and Easton's undefeated, maybe then. But if Easton's, say it's through 3 games and Easton's got us to 2-1, which would be fantastic. That would be best case scenario. Probably is 2-1 through 3 games. I still think you got to go back with Wentz. You traded all that for him. It just, you have to do it. And I think Easton would be like, I feel like Easton wouldn't get into his own head about that even. I think that would be fine, rolling back to that. Honestly, Easton even getting any real game snaps this year would be great for us finding out who he is and him figuring out who he is as a quarterback too. So, but yeah, this is Wentz's team. It's going to go back to Wentz unless Easton's literally playing at like an MVP level through a couple games,
Yeah, and that would be a pretty big switch to flip. Yeah. There's a lot of things to get ironed out. Carson was bad last year, but he knows better on a lot of, there's a lot of areas where I just don't. The
thing with Carson being bad too, we always gotta contextualize it. He was bad playing a minimum. Well, and playing a minimum amount of snaps too. Mm-hmm. If you include every quarterback who threw a pass last year, Wentz is probably not super far down because you have guys who should not have any business throwing passes in the NFL. Right. So, a starter bad, and we're talking about maybe the worst quarterback in football last year, which was Wentz. A starter being that bad is still probably better than a lot of the backups in the league. It's it's just kind of how it is. We'll answer this last question here from Locked On Colts. With the young edges showing promise, do you think there's any chance that one or both of AQM, Al-Qadim Muhammad, or Isaac Rochelle get cut? And we've talked about this quite a bit, that Isaac Rochelle probably should get cut if he's, with all these young guys playing well, I can't imagine you keep like Rochelle over Ben Banigou. That doesn't make any sense to me if that were to happen.
Yeah, I don't see both getting cut.
I think Al-Qadim should be safe.
Yeah, I think both of them were signed as safety signings.
Mm-hmm.
They knew they were going to have a young group. Justin Houston and Danico Autry were out. They knew they were going to have a young group. They needed veterans that could do it. And I think Eberflus would probably hold on to Al-Qadin for dear life. Rochelle would be much more likely to get cut, in my opinion. And like you said, you agree. But we said it earlier, if Al-Qadin is your last defensive end, that's a nice group. I think just based on if any of these guys get hurt and need someone to start, I would hold on to Al-Qadin. Again, I don't want him taking valuable snaps from some of these younger guys that we want to see play, but I'm very comfortable with him being on the roster.
There it is. I was looking for it.
And that's the argument right there, right?
Yeah. Maybe we should cut it Al-Qadin Muhammad just because of that. But no, I mean, I don't ever like guys losing their jobs, but I've kind of been a proponent of ever since they signed Isaac Rochelle, they should cut him. So I'm kind of. And
he's a lot slimmer than I thought he was. Maybe he cut weight with the Colts, but he looks like a tall, lanky defensive end now.
Yeah,
for a couple of days I kept forgetting it was him because I thought he was going to be like bigger, stockier, and more filled out, but he's kind of a taller, lanky guy now.
Yeah, there's really just no reason to keep him over Banigou, Toure, any of those guys.
If you're going off practice performance, then
there's no chance.
I gave him a sack yesterday, but it was the first one I think I gave him. I think he had one maybe the first or second day, but these other guys are like Kemoko Toure had 3 sacks yesterday, and I probably could have given him 1.5 more. These other guys are like dominating.
Well, you have a saved tweet every day saying another sack for Banigou. I've seen the same tweet every single day.
Exactly. I have to have my Ben Banigou sack check in.
You gotta count them all up. Actually, you gotta count them all up and see how many.
I will probably, since I link all the things together, I'll have to go in and see. But Al-Qadin had 2, including a strip sack the other day.
And then
if we're talking real quick, if we're talking about defensive linemen getting sacks and stuff, I don't think anyone has ever told or they are scared to tell Grover Stewart that he's not allowed to absolutely slaughter the quarterback in practice, because
who's going to tell him?
He has put Jacob Easton in the dirt multiple times.
He's getting him ready for Aaron Donald, don't you? I mean, I get it.
I was joking the other day that we know who Grover wants at quarterback because he keeps trying to kill Jacob Easton.
Yeah, wasn't it the first day of practice they were showing the clip or whatever, and he like just ran over he ran over Pittman and then ran over Easton.
Yeah, so he did kill Pittman that
Pittman was just kind of coming across for like motion and then he just killed Pittman.
In his defense, when he was getting Easton that first time, 2 of the first 3 snaps were botched snaps. So it's like anyone's game at that point. But no, he did it again. I think it was yesterday, the day before. I was like, dude, if that was Andrew Luck, someone be ripping into your ass, man. Like,
no, see, Grover just got paid too. He's the big money man too on campus. Like,
that's an expensive defensive front.
It is. And then quick one, I'll just answer these real quick before we sign off. But Dustin, we did talk about this earlier. Rookie Sean Davis could be a gunner. Marvell Tell was a gunner his rookie season. There's a couple guys that could throw out there to maybe make Doolin a little more expendable. And then Philippe asking about Isaac Rochelle or Davenport, who's faster. I don't know. Whoever's faster to the office when they get told they're cut. I don't know.
Davenport hasn't played since like August 3rd or something.
I think a real question would be who's faster between Davenport and Will Holden, because I think both those guys cannot move at all. That's just me. I don't think either of them can move.
Yikes. Yeah, at least for Holden, if he gets his hands on you, I think he's got strong hands, but
Tevye can run circles around them, but if you touch him, he's going to fall down.
Oh, God.
All right, guys. Hey, I appreciate you guys tuning in. We had consistently, around the same viewers throughout the whole thing.
This was really good engagement. Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, especially for how low we are on YouTube with subscribers and stuff, which reminds me, you guys, go to our YouTube channel here, subscribe. It's Horseshoe Huddle, I believe, on
Horseshoe Huddle. We've got a new one. We're not doing this from Zach or my account. It's the Horseshoe Huddle one. You'll see the other guys on here. We'll have shows with Josh. Josh and me are this normal slot. But Andrew and Zach, and so you'll get the 4 of us mixed up quite a bit.
We'll get B-Bore on here going forward. We're trying to still figure out our show schedule and everything, and getting something consistent going for you guys. But we'll definitely keep it rolling throughout the season. Get some more heartbreaking reaction shows and stuff like that after games and everything. It'll be fun. But yeah, we appreciate you guys joining us and asking so many great questions. I mean, that was not the way that we were really intending for this show to go, but you guys made it a whole show. You guys are awesome.
This is always good when you guys engage like this, because we can come in with a script, but when you guys ask this many questions, we want to give you what you're asking for. So that literally is what we're doing when you have that many questions.
Well, Jake and I don't come in with a script. We've never come in with a script.
Luckily, here's what I did for today. So with training camp, I pulled up this roster that I keep track of. I keep track of like my own roster, and I was just going to go through each group and talk about it.
Yeah.
But you guys had so many questions, didn't have to do that.
Jake and I don't make scripts. We just we wing it. It's hilarious. We've been doing it for a while.
From our Believe days, we don't have to read commercials right now. That's awesome.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Read about
Although I still have a stockpile of CBD gummies.
They suck, man.
From the buy one get one. I don't know. You always got stuck on that part of the script where you had to say it like 9 times.
Did I tell you? I'll say this before we start. Did I tell you about with Locked On? I had to read a male enhancement one, and I put it
loner pills.
I put it, dude. Here's what I did. I put the show. Put like a minute of dead space at the end of the show, and then I put.
Hopefully, no one hears that.
All right, guys. Well, hey, appreciate you tuning in. We'll get more shows up like this for sure, because you guys have so many great questions. Especially again, if we get our subscribers up here on YouTube and Facebook and stuff like that, we can do more of these interactive shows so we can have consistent questions. But you guys were awesome. You guys made this show here. Really appreciate it. And we'll definitely be back probably next week to talk about whatever happens on Sunday with the Colts versus Panthers. So appreciate you guys. Have a good night. Don't freak out too much about Colts news.